BORTLE here, back from the LCS 8 event of the online format. We have here finalist contestant Pack himself. My goodness. So, welcome back to the channel, man.
Yo, thank you, Bordo. What's up, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well, and wow, you used virtual worlds all the way through this event, and over 50% of the contestants in top 16 were playing this deck, so it's pretty nice to see this deck get a huge boost from this latest set, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was like it was a big sleeper deck, but everyone who was in top cut or like were like in my round 8 matches definitely knew how this deck worked, but it was definitely a sleeper deck in the sense like they didn't expect that many people would play this deck. I didn't expect that many people to be playing this deck, to be honest.
Wow, and this is one of the newest archetypes that Konami released in this latest set.
And we see that this deck has been doing like insane work all the way over in the OCG land as well. But it is interesting to see how there's like definitely some influences from OCG spilling over.
So, why did you decide to play this deck?
All right, so I guess I'll shout out my Twitch chat. So I've been playing this deck at remote locals this entire week, all the way from Monday to Thursday, and I pretty much like wanted to get a feel for how the deck worked. I played the deck prior to this deck even coming out, or this set even coming out, like 2-3 months prior, in like all the way back when. And when I was testing it, I really enjoyed the deck. I thought the deck was really cool. I thought that the trap card was ridiculous, and it was a very consistent way to get to trap VFD, which is like generally so crazy. But I decided to like pick up this deck last minute because I asked my Twitch chat like Thursday, and I'm like, "Yo, what do I play, guys? There's 3 decks." I'll be honest. I told them there's only 3 decks that I would play. No troll decks. I'm gonna play 3 decks. It'll be Shaddolls, Invoke Dogmatica Shaddolls. That'll be Virtual Worlds for content, or 3 Infernobles. And they all wanted Virtual Worlds, so I was like, you know what? I'll do it. And that's pretty much why I decided. I mean, there's definitely a lot of basis behind it too. Like, I expected no one would know how to play against this deck. That like carried me in my local scene. So I was like, okay, if people don't know how this deck works, I can probably outplay a lot of people and catch people off guard, and like do a lot of crazy things. And I definitely had some people misplay against this deck, although in Swiss. And that's definitely due to just people not knowing how this deck functions. But overall, like I just liked how it works.
Oh yeah, and that's pretty cool that you mentioned that your followers were the huge influence for you using this deck type. So what happened in the finals, man?
Oh man, the finals is crazy. So I mean, I actually won RPS. So I played against Nets. I lost to him in Swiss. He was one of my one out of 2 losses in Swiss. It was him and Rafael Reik. And yeah, I mean, I won the Destro this time around. So I mean, I FTK'd him game 1, game 2. We just both scooped like within 5 seconds. Because we just saw we either didn't open a hand trap or it just wasn't enough. And then game 3, I tried a combo. And I was gonna get there, but he nib-rooted me. Because he's playing the mirror, he knows like the perfect timing to nib, and so he nibbed me correctly at the right time. I didn't have a way to extend, and I mean extend the handshake. I mean I tried to bluff Nibiru, but he went all in, and I think it was correct to actually, because he would have lost on the following turn because I had like, I had the trap as an interaction, but it was just one of those things where you had to go all in or you lose next turn, and I didn't have the nib to punish him on that, and it was just GG, and that was the finals.
So before we get into this actual deck profile, would you like to do some shoutouts, man?
Yeah. I'll be doing like I guess talking about this deck and my matchups as well on my channel. So if you want to go check that out, I'm sure Bora will have it in the description box below. And yeah, I mean, I guess shout out to my team Luxury Gaming, and also shout out to Luxury Gaming for hosting this tournament. They put a lot of work into making this run successful and smoothly. And also shout out to all the judges, Nesh and Toast, for helping answer all the Pepega questions. And of course, yeah, shout out to all the masters, the Gray Masters, the Red Burgundy Masters, 21s, and all them. You guys know who they are. So, yep.
Sweet. Well, without further ado, please take it away.
Okay, yeah. So, Trip count, I played 8. I thought 8 was like an optimal number to like run just based off of math. If you guys use Yu-Gi-Oh! Dot Party, you can like run the math yourself for the percentage of drawing a hand trap in 8. I cut the 3rd Ash for a Call by the Grave. That was like what I decided to do. Then for the main monster count, I played 3 of every Virtual World card, and the reason why, so other people, like other lists that I've seen prior to this event, was playing 2 Niang, and they were playing like 2 Lilies, but I honestly thought that like you need to max out on all of these because there will be times where you don't draw the spells, which means that you need to normal summon something to like play, and Niang is one of the better normal summons in the deck. So that's why I maxed out, and it's also a way to recur back your resources infinitely. With Niang and Trap, you technically have an infinite grind game. Other thing you can and then in case there are people who are not as familiar with the deck, I'll just explain what these cards do in the hand. you play Gamma because they all activate in the hand, so you can like Gamma your opponent. But anyways, Lily is a double Foolish Burial. Lulu is a Foolish Burial and a Nad, so it's like one of the best ones. Lao Lao is a Foolish Burial and a Monster Reborn, and then Gigi is a Foolish Burial and an add back from Graveyard at end phase, kind of like Skarm. But it's better than Skarm because it doesn't need to be in the graveyard. It can like legit be banished face down, like under the deck, like ripped in half, and you can still add a virtual monster from your graveyard to your hand. And this is like really strong against like trap decks because it helps you recur back your resources, so you can continually just like pressure your opponent. I really like GG for that. It's also a level 3 monster that you can like normal summon to like play with. Of course, you have the one driver, the brick. Call by the Grave, because Call by the Grave, not really, don't need to explain it. Just helps your cards resolve. It's good against miss. Yeah, I mean, it's just like a really strong offensive and defensive card. E-Telly, because no brainer. It lets you get access to your normal summon without the normal. Fully Spirit good at 2. I decided to play this 2 because the deck has inherent consistency issues. If you draw like too many level 6s and not like ways to like play, it's kind of like bricky. So the Foolish Barrow Goods helps you on brick. But the thing with Foolish Barrow Good, why this card is not that good, is because when you start off your play with dumping Qinglong and Qinglong Search, then at the rest of your combo, you have to keep in mind that you can't use Qinglong anymore. And I've seen people forget that, and it's like very costly. So you just have to keep in mind you have to play very differently. So it's not like a real starter. It's like a fake starter, but it helps you when you have brick hand. So that's why you still play it. And 2 is like a good number to like helps increase consistency and lower your chances of seeing multiple. You play Desires because Desires is like really good in his deck. Nian can put back face down banish cards. And the draw 2 generally like is really strong, and the cards you banish never really matters because you max out on every virtual card. It's like kind of like similar to Plunders if anyone has ever played that deck, where you kind of max out on all the engine just because you play Desires. Triple Capital, this card is like ridiculous. Not much to say. You can activate a trap directly from your deck or the spell. If you have to get the spell straight from your deck, you can then use the spell to like negate cards like Trident or like UCT, etc., etc. So this card is really nuts. It can negate like Dolka. So that's like where Qinglong is really strong on the field or in the grave. And if you use Qinglong to negate a Trident, for example, if they pop it, you can just banish it to search. So it's like really minus for them most of the time. Then Kuke is like probably like the best card in the deck. This card is like a modern day Trident. Being able to like average back your deck from the banish pile and pop cards is just like ridiculous. There's nothing more to say. Like you can like play 2, but I think 3 is the best because you play Desires. And like if you hard draw it, you want to have it in your graveyard because the modified level comes up in a combo where you need it to make VFD. And then it's just so that you needed to make VFD before you summon Lao Lao, and QK lets you do that. For the extra deck, you play 1 Cloud Castle. This is like mandatory. You have to play it just because it lets you make 2 VFDs, and it helps you extend past a Nibiru on VFD. Coral Dragon is no brainer. Croc is you play this card, and I think this card is like one of the best cards in the extra deck because you play Croc trap control against trap decks. And that's generally enough to win you the game against like Tridents or Zoo decks. Like you just Croc trap and you win. And against like other decks, it's like still like very strong to pass on Croc. Shard Charge is a draw 1, and it attacks everything. This card actually helps you OTK with Utopia Beyond. You can make everything 0, and then Utopia Shard Charge attack everything GG. Yeah, if they have 3 special summon monsters in attack mode, you attack for 6,000 and attack directly for Beyond, and you win the game. Vermilion is actually the most skillful card in the extra deck, and if proper use of this card is, I feel like what separates a lot of like the people who are going to pick up this deck and people who really understand it. So Vermilion Mech is really nice because you can actually make this card to pop a Qinglong to search. You can pop itself to add back an Ash Blossom in the grave. You can add back a Ash Blossom, and then you can revive it back with Cloud Castle. And this card is once per turn per card, so if you bring it back with Cloud Castle, you can actually keep using Vermilion Mech, and that's just like insane. So I really like this card. Being able to like banish Ash and then get this card popped, add back the Ash, so that you have an Ash on top of the VFD, on top of everything, is just like insane. Like I really like this card. There's Juju. This card is like insane against Trident. Like they just don't like. They usually wait for you to like play and commit a little bit before they Trident you. You just make this card and then they just cry. It can't be destroyed by battle card effect, so they just lose. And then it also has a send effect, which is important because it doesn't destroy, it sends, which is kind of nice. Shen is really nice too. The fact that you can carry back itself every turn, kind of like that 9-tail fox lore, is really nuts. It makes your trap live every single time. When it attacks, it can return back a banish monster to the grave. So that's really important because sometimes you banish the driver at off gamma, and then you can at least put it back, which is kind of nice. You can also put back a Ning Ning that you've already used, and then keep recurring that. So that attack actually comes up, or that effect actually comes up. And I mentioned all of these secondary effects is because in a complex game state, you want to be able to use each card to its fullest potential, and like knowing these effects and their interactions is like really important to allow you to like play to like the most optimally. Omega, because when you gamma them, I want to double punish my opponent for trying to stop any of my virtual world monsters in the hand, and that's why gamma is offensive and defensive. Zeus, Kazeus, Gaia, because it helps you either make second 4 material VFD. I'm sorry, 4 material Zeus, or it makes you 2 material Zeus with Fan. That's why you play Gaia Charger. It also does piercing. Beyond is for Dragoon Out. Fan is really good. I did it against Dino where I banish his. I think I forgot what, but I banished one of his cards and I banished the Mist in his grave, so it's really nice. And against the Zoo deck, when you make this card, they can't really pop it because, like I said, secondary effect that no one ever reads. But when this card is destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effects, you can actually special summon 2 virtual monsters with the same type of attribute from your deck. So this effect is most of the time resolving, and they just can't dry it in this, which is important. Break Sword, I never really made this card, but I can see why it's good. I didn't make it the whole entire tournament. It's a nice Mega Clops out. And sometimes you need it to make Zeus, so if you really brick, you can normal summon Ash, bring back Ning Ning back from the graveyard, make Break Sword, attack, make Zeus in a simplified game state. The reason why Zeus, now that we're talking about it, is crazy is because Zeus can actually send your Qinglong to the grave and a bunch of other cards to the grave, so Zeus is like really, really strong. The cards you sent to the grave are cards you can recur. VFD at 2. I mean, I see people play the second VFD and they choose to play Blotnir, but I think VFD is just better because you make 2 and the most of the meta just auto loses to this deck. But yeah, there's that.
How many times did you actually summon 2 of them during this tournament?
A lot because I always bait out the first one calling light, and then I make the second one against Raphael in top 8. I made 2, and yeah, he scooped because of that. So yeah, you make 2 a lot. Like your goal at the end of the day is to always hold the Lao Lao in your hand, and hold Cloud Castle combo, or you hold the trap. Because if you Lao Lao back a Shen, you can banish the trap to make Lao Lao a level 9, then make VFD that way. Or you can Lao Lao back another level 3 monster and they make Cloud Castle. Cloud Castle brings back the level 9 that you made earlier to make the VFD. So there's like many ways you make the VFD twice, which is like kind of like insane. And yeah, the side deck, I play Triple Lance. It's good against the mirror. It's good against dinos. It's just like good overall. I really like this card. Ash Blossom is really good. I played the third one in my side deck as it's generic. You can draw off of Stardust Charge, Croc Dragon, Coral, etc., etc. Ogre is really good. It was my hand check tech of choice against Infernoble and Dragonlink. Those are the 2 decks that I was really afraid of. Every other deck, I think this deck just slaps because this deck with the trap card is just like too insane. Like it's just beats every mid-range deck because of that. But yeah, the Ghost Ogre was for against 40 card Dragonlink. They don't play Ravine. So every time you Ogre a Romulus, it's basically a Gamma. It's a level 3 Psychic Tuner, which is summonable off Telly. It's also a way to stop Isolde because everyone always uses the first effect of Isolde because they don't expect this card in the format. So I thought this was a really good tech of choice for me. It makes E-Telly an extra interruption if you side it in. Imperm for Dragon Link Infernoble. I was just really afraid of those decks. I wanted at least 5 cards or 6 additional cards in the side deck so that I would have at least 12 post side. I was just afraid of that deck. Twin Twister is really good against all the back row decks. Twin was actually like so insane for me. I really, really like this card, and you go plus off the discard. So I think there was one hand where like against Zoo, like I had no way to play, but I top deck Twin and I went Twin, dump spell, and then I just like won from there. Feather Duster is Feather Duster. Reboot is Reboot, and Pank is Pank. So that's it.
Nice. So overall, what are your thoughts on triple tactics? Because I've noticed you play Call Away the Grave and you didn't use that card.
Yeah, so in testing, my original list was actually 3 Gamma, 3 Nib, 3 Tactics, and I decided to play Ash over Tactics because I found out that more often than not, the Tactics is like dead in my hand. If I don't have a way to play, Tactics bricks me further, but if I have a way to play, it makes my hand really, really crazy. And I hate cards like that because it basically only helps if you're already playing, if that makes sense, or like attempting to play. But because the deck inherently bricks so much, there would be times where I would like draw the tactics, but I had no way to play, so like I wouldn't be able to use tactics anyways. But if I'm already playing and have a chance to play, then obviously tactics is just so insane. But I just figured that like Gamma in the main deck acting as a pseudo call by in that instance would be enough. But I
Uh,
do like it, but it's just in testing, I just always bricked on it. At least in like the week of locals testing that I was doing.
oh, perfect explanation. You can always set Ash and pass. Oh God, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Or like you can like have Ash as an additional interruption if you brick on it. So it was like just like I thought better than tactics, and I wanted more than 6 hand traps because I was afraid of like mirror matches and like Dragon Link and Infernobles.
Oh yeah. Well, in closing, what are your final thoughts on this event and how it ran?
I think it ran really well. I didn't expect 23 people to play Virtual Worlds. If you guys see the pie chart, you realize that a lot of people play this deck and a lot of people picked up that this deck is really nice. The conversion rate for this deck was 30% compared to like every other meta deck, which was 10 or 11. So I just thought that it's actually really crazy to see what Yu-Gi-Oh players come up with from an innovative perspective, um, especially during quarantine. So I thought it was really cool to, and I personally didn't expect many people to be playing this deck. But it's definitely nice to see that a lot of people caught on and try to play something new than what's like standard, and always looking to like try new things.
Well, thank you again for being on this channel, man.
Yeah, anytime, bro. Yo, yeah. Shout out to BORTLE as well, guys. Hit that subscription button, and yeah, smash it, boys.
There you have it. And for sure, make sure to check out the description down below and the comment section. I'll go ahead and plug Pox's channel. Yeah, thanks again, man.
Anytime, brother. Peace.